The funeral industry has been ripping off the public for more than a decade because the majority of people don't know this simple trick that takes just a few minutes. I was furious when I heard the BBC announce a couple of weeks ago that the CMA had issued a scathing report. That report outlined the tactics the funeral industry are using to charge grieving families unjustifiably high prices when they are at their most vulnerable. So I decided to find out how I could protect my family, and the solution is so incredibly simple, I can't believe more people don't know about it. You see, I own a small business in Wales and I always do my homework. And the first tidbit I learned is that there are two ways to pay for a funeral. You can either pay for it when it's needed, and the industry calls this at-need funeral. And this is where they make all their money, by the way. They take advantage of grieving family members wanting to do right by dad, so they pile on the costs at that time. The second way to pay for a funeral is what the industry calls pre-need. This is a plan that's paid for in advance and guarantees to cover funeral costs, or at least it should, so watch out, there are plans out there that leave shortfalls for some families. But according to the Cost of Dying report in 2018, my funeral is likely to cost my family £16,000, provided I've got a few more innings in me, of course. But since one of the few guarantees in life is that someday we'll all need a funeral, the prepaid plan is the obvious best choice to avoid the outrageous rising costs. It locks in the cost of today's prices and lets me pay over a period that's best for me. But that raised even more questions for me, and what I found out is that not all funeral plans are created equal. There are plans which are sold by large faceless corporates with shareholders to look after, and there are also more bespoke options offered by well-established independent providers. Now, as I said, I'm a small business owner, and I know you always get the best service from the smaller guys. So I went with the plans that have been around for 40 years, and all their funds are held securely in an independent trust fund. That means in the unlikely case that the company were to get into difficulty, the funds invested to cover those funerals are completely protected. They are also the only funeral plan providers that offer an overpayment rebate on some of their plans. So over the entire life of my plan, if I pay in more than the sum paid out to fund my funeral service, my family will be eligible for a rebate of up to 100% of the difference. That's brilliant, to be honest. It shows their commitment to making sure families always get the best. Look, there's a lot to take in here, but don't put this off. Nearly 75% of all funerals put families into debt. Imagine that. We know this day will come, and yet so few people actually protect their families. I know you've heard all this before. You've probably been inundated by glossy, big budget marketing campaigns fronted by familiar faces from television. You probably know that funeral costs have been rising at twice the rate of inflation for the last 12 years and show no signs of slowing down. And you definitely know that needing a funeral is the only outcome that is guaranteed for every single one of us, which is why sorting out a proper funeral plan that protects my family made so much sense to me. Just make sure the plan you buy really does protect your family. Here's the link I used to get mine sorted. It's just a quick survey, and it will help you to find out which type of funeral plan is right for you. Click the link on or around this video to find the best plan to cover you and your family. Oh, and spread the word. The solution is so simple and affordable, and more people should be getting this prepaid plan.